Hey, everybody. This is Andy, and I'm with Joe. And today we're going to talk about the different ways people can learn and or get support. Why don't you introduce yourself, Joe?
Hello, everyone. My name is Joseph Peoples. I go by Joe. I am a transformational life coach, helping people get purpose, passion, and presence in their personal or business life. Today, we have a very interesting discussion. I know it hits home for me. I'm sure it'll hit home for a lot of you. So let's jump in.
I agree. It hit home for me as well. That's why we're talking about it, right? Um, Hi, everybody. I'm Coach Andy, and I help guys who are looking to find control in their lives, um, whatever that looks like to them. So this topic hit home for me because it's a topic that I have had, and you and I've had together before, and that I have had with many different people, and I'm sure you have as well. The idea of my way is the only right way to do things. This is the idea that many people have, and the discussion came up today around Alcoholics Anonymous and how the 12-step program will work for everyone who follows the steps. And it can be said the same thing about therapy. Therapy will work for everyone who finds the right therapist and does the work. Or same thing about coaching. The coaching can work for everyone who gets a good coach and does the work. You know, whether group therapy, family support, doctors, any kind of support system we use, praying can work. You know, homeopathy can work. Like there's lots of different things that will work for everyone who does it according to the prescribed method. The problem is not everybody can do that, right?
Right.
What's your thoughts?
Well, whew, I have a ton of thoughts wrapped around this. I could probably write a book. But based off of my own experiences in school, I struggled a lot, right? I've never been to Alcoholics Anonymous. I don't have any um, experience with that. But I do have experience with like algebra and geometry and all these other subjects that we go through in school. And I was like a CDF later student, uh, because every teacher I had except for one, none of them could hold my interest. And I said, well, maybe you have ADD or maybe you have ADHD or whatever. Um, that's a possibility, right? But back then it wasn't as big of a deal when I was growing up. But the other thing is, if I sit down and I really want to study and I really want to learn something, I am on it and I know it and it resonates with me and I get it. But if you sit a geometry book in front of me right now and you try and teach me those steps, if I'm not committed and if I don't understand it, if I don't have any kind of passion wrapped around it, and if I don't have the proper teacher who knows how to engage with me and build rapport with me and understand how I learn things, none of it's going to matter. It's not going to make a damn bit of difference if you're a 5-star teacher or a 1-star teacher or a multi-level superstar teacher. It will not matter because I'm not going to do the work. I'm not going to care. I'm not going to have any interest. I'm going to go off and play video games or pick up my guitar or play with my kids or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that in a nutshell is what came up for me while you were talking about this,
Mm-hmm.
as well as a great example right now, my son right here next door to me, right? He's got autism. He's 16. Last year he was in class and a teacher put her hands on him, right? This has completely shut him down from school to the point we're actually in a lawsuit with the school, and I can't go into all that.
No.
But he has no desire to learn now because of that incident. Because in his mind, this happened 2 weeks ago, 2 days ago. It's on a constant loop, right? So if we have those kinds of things in our body and our mind and our soul and our spirit, we're not gonna respond to, well, let's just follow the book and let's just do the steps. No, I need more than that. I need you to break down step one. I need you to show me why this step is important before we
And
even
not
get
just not just that. You're right. We do need you to break down the step and show me why it's important, but you need to show me in a way that I understand.
yes, exactly.
The example, because I was the same way in school. I didn't learn well in school either. I was a C&D student all the way through. I never failed anything, but
Mhm.
only because I was actually smart enough to get straight A's if I wanted to. I just never chose to. Every competition I entered, I was always number one or number two. Every
Yeah.
intellectual academic competition I entered, I was always number one or number two. I could ace the whole damn thing. I just didn't care, exactly for the same reason you did. And it's not about I learned the way the teachers taught. I just learned it because despite the teachers not being able to teach me. Like I would go home and read the books. I would go home and watch the videos. I would go home and watch the films, or I would sleep through the films and listen to them instead of watching them. And and it was a different way for me to learn, but I learned despite them not being able to teach me. The problem was that not everybody can do what you can do, and just because each of us has a formula for how we work does not mean everybody else can follow that formula. And I don't just need you to break it down and tell me why. I need you to break it down in a way that makes sense to me. Just because it makes sense to you does not mean it will make sense to anybody else. And that's what we actually need. Is we need somebody to pay attention to how we learn.
Yep.
And one of the things that I know about coaching, and I believe therapy, that certain kinds of therapy do this too, is we pay attention to you, the individual person. We're taught hundreds of different methods to relate to somebody. We're taught like a lot of different ways to get through to somebody, to help somebody understand something. We're actually taught as coaches how to understand how a person thinks long before we're ever taught how to help them think differently. We're taught how to read the signs, how to hear the words, how to understand where you're coming from. Our job is to get you long before we ever try and help you. So that's one thing that individualized or sorry, standardized cookie cutter programs can't do. Whether that's the education system, or whether that's an AA program or a group therapy program, or whether that's a job, a corporation that has 100 employees doing the same thing, or 20,000 employees doing the same thing across the country, retail, fast food, hospitality. Um, Most of those industries are like that. They hire thousands of people all over their company to do the same job, and they expect them all to be mostly the same. And unfortunately, people don't work that way. Some of them will succeed, most of them won't, just because we're not wired that way. Some people are, and some people aren't. Now, what I know, and I heard this today from a couple of different industry experts who aren't coaches, but they are entrepreneurs in different areas. And from a couple of different people today, I heard that the world is changing. We're moving away from industrialized, standardized way of doing things. And that's why so many people are no longer resonating with some of the things that we used to do to help people. AA still does help people. Um, Therapy still does help people. Some of these education still does educate kids, just not all people or all kids. And the problem we're having is we're still expecting those standard systems to educate or help everybody, and they never did. And that's what this conversation is about. Is there are more and more everyday ways to get help, ways to learn, ways to understand, and people who can help. There are more and more people on Instagram, on YouTube, on everywhere. One of the things that the pandemic has caused is it caused a lot of people to go online for help. And anybody who, or nearly anybody before the pandemic started, who had this craving to help somebody has gone online to offer that help. And therefore, there's a much larger market for people who are looking for help and people who are offering help. And there's a much easier way for us to connect. So even though the help might actually happen in person, we find these people most of the time online now. That's just what the pandemic has done. We go to Zoom, we go to YouTube, we go to Instagram or Facebook, or we go to wherever we go, we just search it, right? We're not going to a doctor's office and hoping he's got all the solutions. We're going to Google and hoping Google has all the solutions. And quite honestly, Google usually has more solutions. And sometimes Google will tell you, go to your doctor, because your doctor does have some solutions. He doesn't have all of them. And sometimes Google will tell you, go to a therapist or go to a coach or go to, that's what we have here. Is we have so many different ways, so many different options, so many different availability things available for us to get what we're looking for, to get our needs met, and to learn and to get the help we're looking for.
Yeah, so it's a lot to breathe in, right?
There is.
When we talk about like different approaches, right? We have kids who are in physical school now. Again, we have kids who are still online learning, going back to the school thing for a minute, right? Some kids are doing great with the online, some are doing horrible, right? So solution A is not always going to be right. Solution B isn't always going to be right. The important thing is that you find what works for you and someone that can support you within that. And that's what we're essentially talking about.
Yeah.
Whether it's a coach or a therapist or a coach and a therapist, or AA and a coach, or AA and a counselor, or whatever it is, right? The important thing to understand is that the help is there. And I know people like me, I don't know, maybe Andy, I had to drop my ego. I had to stop saying I can do this on my own. I had to stop drinking whiskey in my garage, right? I had to get very real with myself, right? And explore all that ugliness that I didn't want to feel anymore, and say, what can I do? Who can I talk to? I don't want to talk to this person. I don't want to talk to that person. I went through this whole laundry list of people who love me, but I didn't want to talk to them because I didn't want to disappoint them. I wanted to keep up the facade of, yeah, Joe's great. Joe's okay. Joe's whatever, right? And the entire time there's a knife stabbing me right here, right? Making me smile. Oh, it's the deceitful knife of happiness, right?
Yeah.
And it's not true. So the darkness builds up, the heaviness builds up, and pretty soon you're full of crap. So what do? Two choices, right? You stay there, or you find a person and a place and a thing that works for you, that's healthy, that's responsible, that's going to push you forward. Right? That's what I've done. That's what Andy's done. That's what has brought us to the coaching space. That's why we're here to help people who are in that same kind of thing. 3 days ago, I talked to a lady who was suffering with major anxiety and depression. Said she's been going to a therapist for about a month and it hasn't helped her one bit. I had a 30-minute conversation with her. You're great. Can we talk more? I'm talking with her tomorrow at 8 o'clock. Over a 15-minute Facebook text conversation. Now, I'm not saying that to brag. I'm not saying that to stroke my ego. I'm saying that because that was an amazing thing that happened. Right.
Right. The point of that is that she got the help from you that she wasn't getting from a different method. And it isn't about you offering the help. It's because you're a coach and you're trained differently than the therapist she went to. And because you're trained differently, you offered a different solution, and that different solution is what she needed.
Yeah.
Right. It's not about coaching is better or therapy is better or programs are better or the education system is better or homeschooling is better. It's not about what's better. Right. It's about there's a bunch of different options and each of them work for some people. Yeah. There is no one right way for anybody. Right. And that's exactly my point. Go ahead.
Oh, see, no, I'm totally agreeing with you. And it could be a mixture of those things too, right?
Yeah.
You can have a coach, a therapist, and a counselor, right? They can all be working together. There's nothing wrong with that,
Mhm.
right? If you need support, get it however you can, wherever you
Yeah.
can,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And solutions, I might have a different solution, like Andy said, than the therapist or the counselor, right? Or we might all be on track with like the same solution. But here's the thing, what if all three of us are kind of on the same pathway, but you're still going, well, wait, something's still missing. Then what?
Then you
What do
go
we
to a
do?
different one.
What do
Then
we
you
do?
go to a different one. You
Yeah.
find a different one. See, my experience was I didn't have that ego of thinking I didn't want anybody to know I was a problem or that I was having a problem. I wasn't trying to put on the happy facade. I actually was telling as many people as would listen, coworkers, friends, people in the grocery store. It didn't matter. I was laying my problems out for everybody. I didn't keep anything private. My deepest, darkest secrets, some casual friends heard about. I told people about it at the bar. I told people about it, talked to once and never heard from again. I've told people some deep, dark things that my ex-wife actually regrets me sharing with people. So for me, it wasn't the ego; it was the well, it was still the ego, but it showed up in a different way. It wasn't so much that I was trying to hide it; it's that I kept denying the help that was being offered. I kept saying, no, no, that's not the right one. That's not the right one. No, no, that's not. I'm looking for help, but this isn't the right one. So I would go. You would say you said you didn't want to go to therapy or you didn't want to go to this person or that person or this person. I went to all of them and then told them they were doing it wrong. Right. So my ego just said, yeah, I know what you're saying. I know how you're what you're saying to do, and I know how to do that, but it isn't working for me. And it wasn't until I got a coach who was able to see why it wasn't working and gently, compassionately walk me through that. I've had therapists who tried to gently and compassionately walk me through that, who eventually just got frustrated and angry at me. And you're fucked up when you're pissing off your therapist.
Well, maybe, or maybe they are, right?
Right, and that's just it. I felt like a miserable, horrible mess because even a therapist. I went to a mental hospital after attempting suicide, and they kicked me out, saying they couldn't help because of some diagnosis some psychiatrist gave me. And it turns out that psychiatrist, I've had two other psychiatrists, and they didn't give a similar diagnosis. So, was the diagnosis even real? I don't know. But because I had that diagnosis from one psychiatrist, the mental hospital, the last place you would go when you attempt suicide, the final defense said no.
Yeah.
And what does a guy do when that happens? I mean, I didn't know where else to go, and then I found a coach. And a coach gently and compassionately walked me through all of my limiting beliefs. She met me where I was at. Instead of trying to tell me how to think, she tried to figure out how I already thought. She spent time getting in my head instead of telling me how to get into hers. Instead of telling me the right way, she helped me figure out the way I was doing it so that she could find out the ways that I could fix that I could change that I could evolve that. She helped me go half a step in this direction and half a step in that direction and half a step in this direction until we found a direction I could go. And then I would go two or three steps and stop again. And then she would do the same thing all over again. We would try this way and this way and this way and this way until eventually I found another direction I could go. And after enough of those, I was able to create momentum and get motion. And that's all it took. Once I had that, I knew what to do. I knew how to try 20 different ways until I find the one that works. I knew how to try, you know, 10 different directions. I knew how to try 30 different speeds in each direction. Like I literally knew how to try so many different things that I could do most things on my own. I didn't need her help anymore. So now what I found is when I'm helping my clients, I can get into their head and say, look, I understand that nothing you've tried has worked. And I want to know what you've tried, why it didn't work, and what actually was the very specific details of what happened in that moment. Because I bet you if we changed your mood, something would have worked. I bet you if we changed the word one of the words you said in that moment, it would have worked. I bet you if we changed just, raise one of your eyebrows instead of the other one, it would have worked. Like, it's really tiny little changes. And sometimes it works. Most of the time it works. And we've always been able to find something that does. And that's what coaching has done for me. So my experience was a little bit different than you in that I didn't have to swallow my ego to say I need help. I had to swallow my ego to say the help's not working. Because I did say that to my coach, and she listened, didn't accept it, but she listened and showed me how it was working, and showed me the progress I was making, and showed me that, yeah, actually things are getting better. Maybe you are riding on an LRT train, on a subway train for 3 days solid because you're homeless and don't have any food. But last week you were trapped. You couldn't make any choices. You couldn't go anywhere. Now you're not trapped. Maybe you're starving and, have nowhere to sleep, but you're not trapped. And that's progress. Right. And from there, I was able to make even more progress. So that's the difference. And this is what we're offering as coaches. We're offering to help you get into your head. We're offering to, as Joe said earlier, him and I both took the same path to a result. We didn't come from the same problem. We came from the same problem, but we didn't approach it the same way. We didn't think of it the same way. We didn't experience it the same way, but we came from similar problems. We came from similar mindsets, and coaching was the solution. And it isn't for everybody, but it is for enough of us. And that's what we're offering. So if you think you can, if you've tried some other things and they haven't worked, try coaching. If you haven't tried something else and you're not sure what you want to try, give us a call. The worst that'll happen is you spend an hour talking to us and we can't help you. Or you decide we can't help you. Or something doesn't work. And then the best we can do, the least we can do is at least help you find other things that might work. We might suggest try therapy. Go to your doctor. We might suggest try a support group, or maybe write. We might suggest all kinds of things that are a custom solution for you that isn't about the standard way to do things. And that's what we're here for.
Coaching is, and I say this because I hear this so much, right? Well, I have a counselor, I have a therapist, I don't need a coach because they're so similar. No,
They're not. They're not.
Similar. If you're thinking that those things are similar, please have a conversation with us because they are vastly different. I've been to a counselor, I've been to a doctor, so has Andy. I've been prescribed the medications and all that. I'm proud to say that today I'm not on those things. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't be. So please.
Right. You're proud to say that you don't have to be on those things because you managed to figure out the things that were causing them in the first place.
And the reason I say it is because, these things like alcoholism, depression, anxiety, all these things that are wrapped around that are symptoms of an underlying issue that needs to be solved. And so that's why we're here today. We have been able to solve those issues.
Yes.
And work through them and get stronger through support, coaches of our community, things like that. And so we offer more than just coaching. We also offer community. And that's something that we have to, I think, really talk about more, right? It's not just me and Andy.
Yeah.
There's a whole group of many wonderful people.
Millions of coaches in the world, millions of them in North America, in the US. You're in the US, I'm in Canada. Millions of them just between our two countries. And there are hundreds just in our little community.
Yeah.
Just in our little community of people, there are hundreds of coaches who will offer to help. So even if we can't help, we can probably offer somebody else in this industry who can. Never mind, if you decide you don't want coaching, we can offer which other kind of service you might want, that might help.
There's a whole slew of different professionals that we're involved with. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of options. There's a lot of doors that can be open. So I don't know why I felt like I needed to throw it out there, but it came up, so I thought I would.
Yeah, well, and I agree because I know when I spent 15 years in retail, one of my secrets to success, and I think you said something similar. I can't remember for sure, but I think you did. One of my secrets to success is that when a customer came in looking for a solution to my store, I didn't always have the solution he was looking for. 95% of the time I did, because usually when he would come into my store, he would have an idea of what my store does, and therefore he would think that his problem is in the scope of the problems that my store solves. So 90 to 95% of the time, I did have a solution that would solve his problem, his or her problem. But on that odd occasion, I couldn't. I usually knew where he or she could go to find his solution.
Right.
So that's what you're saying there is we don't always have all the solutions. Now, we as coaches are taught to have most of them. However, we are individuals, we are people, we are human, we're not perfect, nobody is. And it doesn't matter how experienced or good at it we are, there are some people we just can't resonate with, or who can't resonate with us, and that's fine too. And if that happens, we still have an option for you. We still can help you find the next thing that does.
Yeah, so
Right.
as coaches, we offer a non-judgmental space that's full of passion, that's full of love, and that is really centered towards getting you a result that you need, that you want. Not our result, not what we think you need, not what we think you want. But we get down to the brass tacks of what you want, what you need, right? Because if we're just doing it for what we need as coaches, then we're not doing our job right.
If I'm going to do it for what I need, I just need $1 million. So you can just send me $1 million and I'll be happy, right? I mean, that's it.
Yeah. And what good does that do?
Exactly.
Right? So we're here to do really two things, right? Figure out your outcome, what outcome you want, and then figure out how we're going to get you there.
Right.
And then we're going to be your partner along that journey. And we're going to go on that journey with you. We're going to be there to support you, right? We're going to check with you every week. We're going to hold you accountable, or whatever your coaching program is, right?
Right.
So you're going to be supported along the way. It's not like, okay, well, one phone call and we're done, and now that's $1,000 or something crazy. Like, no,
we're not lawyers. That's not how we work.
No, but it's a deep conversation, right? That you have to be willing to get into, because if you're not going to be real with yourself, you're not going to be real with us, and then nothing is going to come out that's of any value, and it's just going to be a waste of time.
Yeah.
So don't waste your time. You want to waste my time, fine, but don't waste yours.
Right. We actually have clients who waste our time all the time, and we signed up for that. Not because we feel it's a waste of time. I have clients who think they're wasting my time. I've never felt that a client, or anybody else for that matter, has wasted my time, because even if I didn't get the result I was looking for, I got a result that I could do something with, right? And you're not going to waste my time. You're not going to waste Joe's time. You're not going to waste our time. We will help you get something. We will help you get something that is useful for you. And 90 to 95% of the time, we can give that to you. The other 5 or 10, we can lead you to somebody who does.
Or we can stick with you for a longer period of time if that's what you want.
Yeah. One of the things that I like about what you said a minute ago is you said, we will walk with you. We're not there to tell you what to do, to give you a set of instructions and watch you do them. We're there to walk with you step by step so that you can build some confidence, so that you can build some self-esteem, so that you can build some persistence, so that you can build whatever the thing is that you're missing or that you want. We're there to help you build it, to walk with you as you build it, and we'll guide you through the process every step of the way. I know for some of my clients, pretty early on in the relationship, in the client coach relationship, I've had to be on the phone with them 3, 4, 5 times a week to help them get through that first couple of weeks of really tough situations. Or I've even had another client I was working with for well over 6 months, and he had something major come up for him, and I had to get on the call with him for like a few days in a row, and I helped. That's the commitment we're here for. We're here to help. We're here to offer support. Now, each of us coaches has a different program, a different way we do that, a different offering. Some of us text, some of us phone, some of us visit in person, some of us use programs, some of us do one-on-one coaching. But the point of the matter is still the same. We are here to walk with you one-on-one. We're here to support you. We're here to be on the journey with you. We're not here to give you an assignment and walk away like an instructor does.
Yeah, and I think that's an important point. We're here to walk with you. We're not here to walk for you or to carry you.
Right.
Right. We're going to be side by side.
Yep. And if you can't go to the next step, we won't either.
Yeah.
If you're hesitating on this thing that you want to do next, if you are resisting, or you can't figure out what the problem is, or you don't know what to do next, we'll help you, and we'll stay there until you go to the next step, and then we'll go with you. We won't take a step until you do, and we, like you said, we won't carry you. If you don't think you can do the next thing, we won't give you the answer, but we will stay there struggling with you while you figure it out, while we help you figure it out.
We will swim with your sharks.
Yes, we will swim with your sharks, because trust me, we have both swum with those sharks. We have been there. Those sharks know us by name.
Absolutely. Now I want a shark tooth necklace to put on me.
Exactly. But that's exactly the point. We've been there. We know how to swim that swim. We know how to go to those places, and we know how to walk the walk to get through them. No matter how fast or how slow you want to go, we can walk with you and guide you step by step, inch by inch. And if you want to go an inch at a time or a mile at a time, we're there with you.
I mean, a perfect example of this is I was at a craft fair with my wife yesterday, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're out there, we're selling crafts and cake pops and things like this. And I had a client call, right? And well, she sent me a Facebook message. Hey, I'm really struggling right now with the loss of my mom and anxiety and this and that and the other. And I said, give me a minute.
Yep.
Told my wife what was going on. Said, honey, I'm going to go talk to my client. I'm going to be in the van for a few minutes. I'll be back as soon as I'm done. Get on the phone with this particular client, and she is just really in a bad spot. I mean, bad. I didn't have to do that, right? But I spent probably 15 or 20 minutes with her where I could have been out helping my wife make money, right? But no, I said, you know what? I'm going to be there for my client, because that's my commitment. I don't know that every coach will do that. That's my commitment to my clients. That doesn't mean that that's Andy's commitment or another coach's commitment. But when somebody is struggling like that, you better damn well believe I'm going to be there for that person, because that's on me, right? If she had committed suicide, which was the conversation, that would be on me, because I didn't respond.
Right.
Would her suicide be on me? No. But would the thought live within me of what if I had paid attention to that message, right? It's going to be in my body. And we don't always consciously think about those kinds of things. We're not always aware of that. Well, oh, she'll get through it, or she'll reach out to somebody else, or, right? We can give all these different reasons about why we're not going to answer that message, right? But to me, I'm thinking, well, what if this was my daughter reaching out to some guy she barely knows? This guy didn't pick up the phone, and now her life's over. Who wants to live with that kind of thought? You know? So,
yeah, it wouldn't necessarily be guilt, but it would color the rest of your experiences, right?
Right.
I mean, I get that. I've had similar experiences too, where a guy called me up. I had two of my clients within an hour one week they messaged me both within an hour of each other and said, I lost my job.
Mhm.
Both of them had been 10 plus years at their job, long-term employees. And I'm like, all right, now I got to navigate two of these guys who need help at the same time. And I did. I managed. One of them didn't want to talk for a couple of hours, so I talked to the first guy. And then when I managed to get him, to a point where he just wanted to go and be by himself for a little bit, kind of feel the feelings for a little bit on his own, then I talked to the second guy, and then I talked him through his experience. And when he was done, I messaged the first guy back, and he was ready to talk again. So I just navigated back and forth, and was able to give them both the experience they want, and both of them understood that I'm not available all the time. If they would have messaged me, and one of them did, the first one did message me when I was in the middle of a different call, so it was 45 minutes before I could get back to him, and he understood that. He was willing to wait, because we have that kind of rapport. That's what we as coaches do. We build that kind of rapport with you. We care, and we'll prove that we care.
And that's the whole reason that I brought up that whole thing, just to say, yeah, this is our commitment. This is what we do. This is why we do it.
Yes.
It's not to stroke our ego. It's not to, oh, look at
it's not for the dollar bill. It's not for the recognition. It's not, no, it's because we want to help.
Give it, I mean, we want to help.
Yeah.
It's really what it comes down to. We give it in. We want to help. We want to help in a way that you may have not experienced before, or you may not even know, right? For me, for many years, I had a complete misconception of what coaching was. I thought it was all, motivational, happy stuff, all this kind of, I don't want to say like hippie type stuff or whatever.
That was the word I used.
But yeah, it was just like, oh, well, everything's just rainbows and unicorns. That is not what this is. We deal with the deep, dark, ugly, inner stuff that people usually don't want to deal with.
Yeah. Now, don't mistake. We do deal with the rainbows and roses as well. Like we will play with. If your rainbows are drooping a little, we can help. If your unicorn's horn is a little limp, we can help.
Yeah, exactly.
We can do all of that too, and we also go dark. We also will go to the really hard stuff, the problems that nobody else wants to talk about. We'll talk about those. We'll deal with those.
Because we kind of go from that darkness to that rainbow and unicorn kind of thing, right? But there's work involved. It's not just having a conversation, everything's hunky-dory. No. Right. There's processes, there's techniques, there's a lot to be done.
There is.
So
we're here for you. Whatever it looks like, whatever the problem is that you need help for, we can help, and we're here to do so, whatever it takes. All right. Wonderful conversation. Thanks a bunch, Joe. And I hope this was helpful for all of you guys. And if it was, obviously drop us a like, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment. Tell us what you think. We want to hear from you guys. If something comes up that you want to talk about, if there's something that you do want to talk about, let us know, and we'll do what we can to address that subject. Absolutely. Thanks a lot, everybody, and we'll talk to you the next time. Bye-bye.